Shalum, shalom, and welcome. Welcome to Return to the Promised Land. My name is Symmanayah, and this is the 9th message in this series. I want to bring your attention, O Yasharal, drawn of Abba Yahuah, the Almighty One. In the name of Yahusha, I present this message. My brothers and sisters, whether we realize it or not, when man's perceptions, when we begin to lean on our own perceptions, it is a reflection of the battle between the Almighty Yahuah versus man's perceptions. There are many positions regarding how end times will unfold. Believe it or not, among the many differences regarding this set-apart journey, the realities are we will grow to know that we face a battle that will prove to be won by the Almighty Father Yahuah. The battle between the Almighty Yahuah versus our perception. Beware of those who promote the notion that we are all just presenting our perceptions. None of us know. It's just all our perceptions. Beware of those who promote such words. We are charged to grow, to seek, to worship, and obey the Almighty Father Yahuah. Yasharal, know this. It would be a contradiction of our beliefs and gross misinterpretation of the scriptures if we fail to demonstrate that the truth can emerge through us by the Almighty Father Yahuah's Spirit sent in Yahusha's name. It would be a contradiction saying we believe one thing but yet deny that the Spirit of Yahusha can work through us, teaching us, guiding us, leading us through his chosen ones, through his chosen leaders, his chosen mores, his chosen bishops, his chosen pastors. And of course, there are those who have been elevated with titles based off of their own self-proclaiming of such positions, or by a group of people who have given them labels. Anyone that have taken on such titles that have not been guided and directed by the Spirit of the Almighty Father is indeed an impostor and functioning off their own perception. The Spirit of Yahuah sent in Yahusha's name will make known through those whom he chooses. And proof will emerge in the coming days. Proof with power, never before seen in such magnitude. You see, my brothers and sisters, those who will become labeled as the children of obedience will demonstrate that the Almighty Yahuah is indeed alive and his Spirit is indeed working in us. In order for the 144,000 and great multitude to rise up and emerge, we must stand beyond our perceptions. We must continue to pursue what is indeed set apart. Though there is widespread agreement that we have entered into the end time, the details and methods of which the Almighty Father Yahuah will exact discipline, vengeance, and wrath are not totally clear. But to those who are discerning, we are awakening to what is indeed true, what is indeed set apart. I present to you, my brothers and sisters, a message calling on the awakening of a nation to discern the Almighty Yahuah's presence and come away from man's perception. Let us witness the Spirit of Yahushua working through us directly, and let us confirm it and testify of such. My brothers and sisters, this message has been stirring within me to present these words. It was as though the Spirit of Yahushua was telling me for centuries the wicked one has been mimicking, producing false signals. Perceptions of men have been rising and magnifying in order to manipulate, mislead, misdirect the drawn of Abba Yahuah. In other words, it is an age-old strategy, centuries old. Hashatan have made many moves to replicate, to duplicate, to get man to try to pursue and fabricate what they believe the scriptures are saying. As a result, there are many matters presented in scriptures, especially as it relates to set-apart journey, as it relates to end times, that the wicked one have magnified such that there are people who believe that they are walking with the right interpretation of a passage of scripture or more, and they exhibit strong confidence, but they are confidently wrong. And we shall see, my brothers and sisters, the rise of many different perceptions. Though it may be magnifying, we will discover the power and might of the Almighty Father. He will make the scriptures come alive like we have never witnessed before with such magnitude. It was as though the Spirit of Yahushua was assuring me and warning me to not only hear his words, but to pass these warnings on to his children. For within our midst, we will witness individuals rise up attempting to produce or fabricate what they believe the Almighty Father has directed. We see it today, my brothers and sisters. We see individuals who say, well, the Spirit told me, the Ruach HaKodesh told me, Yahuwah told me this and told me that. There are many people who will step out boldly. Now, some are indeed our brothers and sisters. They just made a mistake. And through the atoning power of Yahushua Mashiach, mistakes are forgiven. In reproof comes repentance. But there are those who will lean and try with confidence to try to get us to believe that they are indeed hearing from the Almighty Father, when in essence, they are pushing their own perception. Yes, we know the flesh war against the spirit, so we will stumble and we will fall. That's why it would be wise for us to seek to discern the living presence of the Spirit of Yahuah sent in Yahusha's name. It would be wise for us to know that he will equip us with understanding, with hearing his words come alive, with understanding what must be done so that we can escape the confusion of man's perception. My brothers and sisters, there are those who speak strongly and eloquently, who master the art of language, rhetoric. And as a result, we see individuals being seduced by the perceptions of many who claim to be led by the Almighty Father. But be confident, my brothers and sisters. Be rest assured that they will be exposed. All obstacles, all attacks, all misrepresentation will be made known that stands in our way, so that we are able to press forward and coming together, being bound together in unity as an awakening nation. Believe it or not, my brothers and sisters, there are ways and means to discern whether the Spirit of Yahuwah has spoken to an individual or whether he has not said a thing to the individual. Be not deceived. He knows the heart. He knows the very intent, and he will indeed provide what is necessary to prove what is right versus what is wrong. My brothers and sisters, I'm compelled to believe that the weight that is about to unfold regarding the discipline from the Almighty Father that is necessary to prevent the obedient children of Yahuwah from being food, the weight of what is necessary is about to come down hard against the wicked and strong against the set apart. Unfortunately, I believe the Spirit of Yahushua has provided me with a glimpse of millions of brothers and sisters who will be overtaken with unbelief, that will fail to discern the living instructions from chosen leaders, that will not take heed to warnings and orders going forth. Allow me to present the following as I continue on this subject, a subject that is necessary for us to recognize in order for us to prepare to return to the promised land. Exodus chapter 7, verse 1 through 6 reads, So Yahuwah said to Moshe, See, I have made you a mighty one to Pharaoh, and Aharon your brother is your prophet. You shall speak all that I command you, and Aharon your brother shall speak to Pharaoh to let the children of Yasharal go out of his land. But I am going to harden the heart of Pharaoh, and shall increase my signs and my wonders in the land of Mitzrayim. And Pharaoh is not going to listen to you, and I shall lay my hand on Mitzrayim and bring divisions in my people, the children of Yasharal, out of the land of Mitzrayim by great judgments. And the Mitzrayites shall know that I am Yahuwah, which I stretch out my hand on Mitzrayim, and I shall bring the children of Yasharal out from among them. And Moshe and Aharon did as Yahuwah commanded them, so they did. If you read the entire chapter, my brothers and sisters, if you read the entire story, you will see that there were many perceptions. Pharaoh thought that he could replicate what Yahuwah was doing and using Moses to demonstrate signs and wonders. But ultimately, Pharaoh's wizards, Pharaoh's servants could not rise up above what the Almighty Father was doing. Could not and did not. The Almighty Father, in spite of all that Pharaoh tried to discredit that Yahuwah was present, all that Pharaoh tried, the Most High Father brought to an end. Notice that what occurred in Exodus, I submit to you, as the final Exodus began to take shape, we will see the hand of the Almighty Father bring judgment against our captors. We will see judgment come against those, even within our camps, who are non-discerning, who are misleading individuals based off of their own perceptions, thinking that it's okay. We will witness freedom come, freedom for the Spirit of Yahuwah to work in us, through us, one towards another, as he gathered 144,000 in great multitude. Yasharal, just as in the days of Musha, Moses, in dealing with Pharaoh, we will also see things today where man is trying to fabricate. We see the synagogue of Satan trying to steal our identity, portraying themselves to be Yehudim and are not. We see where many practices that have emerged around the synagogue of Satan, which try to lead many to believe that that is what we're supposed to be doing, that they're still in our quote unquote religion and practices. These are fabricated and they're off. They do not match what the Most High has for us. We see the vanity among the synagogue of Satan. Many of us have taken on behaviors of the synagogue of Satan, thinking that this is the true way that Hebrews or Abrim supposed to govern themselves. Man's perception have had played a wicked part in trying to fabricate and replicate what they think the text is saying. But I say to you, O Yasharal, the scriptures will come alive. We will begin to witness what is really true and indeed set apart. There are individuals among us, leaders among us, promoting vanity in a culture that is absent from promoting the true worship and obedience to the Almighty Father Yahuwah. I'm compelled to believe that our eyes and our lust for showmanship, vanity, and looking good, so to speak, have taken a toll on the building of unity. But soon and very soon, correction comes. Our egos will be bruised. Our mental state will be pressed. Our behaviors will be refined by the disciplining hand of the Almighty Father, and we will move towards the things that are necessary to bring unity to an awakening nation. My brothers and sisters, let me read the following passage, which I speak of often, as I believe is a critical thing to be mindful of during these end times. Colossians 4:5. It reads as follows: "Walk in wisdom toward those who are outside, redeeming the time." Every moment will show its value. Soon and very soon, we will realize how precious, how valuable a minute, a moment of our time. We will begin to see how valuable that time is. And we find ourselves coming in check as it relates to just hanging out with so many compromising camps. We will realize it's time to come away and seek to discern which direction, who the Most High would have us to be with and around. Now, brothers and sisters, next time you attend any gathering of saints, any coming together of set-apart children of Yahuwah, look around. Look at how much time and how many minutes are spent on discussing different apparel, dress, or the so-called Hebrew garbs. Look how much time is spent on the flanges, the tassels and zitzits that people believe they're supposed to be wearing, when in essence the scripture is talking about hem your garments with a thread of blue. But because man wants to show off and show out, they have enlarged and stretched the perception of what it means to wear tassels or zitzits, because they believe this is what the Spirit of Yahuwah is saying, when in essence he's saying have a neat hem with a blue cord. And they will take you to the scriptures, the text. And many, even among us to this day, fight over whether it should be zitzits, which are cords that are braided in some type of fashion, or fringes, which are twisted strings dangling from your garments. You see, my brothers and sisters, the scriptures have been tampered with, but they cannot tamper with the spirit and power and the voice of the Almighty Yahuwah. He wants his children to identify and remember all that he said to us. And in the simplicity of him in a garment with a blue cord, this is all that he asks in terms as it relates to a physical identification to remind us of his living orders. I'm not here to argue or debate, my brothers and sisters, but just begin to look at how much time is spent on people saying, no, it should be fringes. No, it should be zitzits. No, mine are longer than yours. Or it can be any color. Have we seen any example in the scriptures? Show me one example, please. Anyone. Where Yahuwah's children were rounded up and said, there they are. I know that's them because they're wearing zitzits. I can tell that that's them because they got the fringes on. Show me an example. Now, sure, we can look at historical books and images that show Hebrews with fringes and tassels. We can see images on walls and on tablets of Hebrews wearing tassels. But I say to you, my brothers and sisters, take a moment and ask yourself, if we were rounded up today, every Hebrew, every Yehudim was rounded up right now in the United States, from the wealthiest to the poorest, and someone was putting together a book, a historical documentation, don't you think that they would look at the ones who are flashy and rich and wealthy and say, see there, we caught them. They just like any other Yehudim. Could not this have happened in times past, that as obedient ones of Yahuwah was rounded up, so were all Yasharal, both set apart Yasharal and those who were wicked? Are we not aware that it is written that not everyone is of Israel? Meaning that there are some that are wicked and there are those that are set apart. Are we not aware of that, my brothers and sisters? Romans 9:6, which reads, however, it is not as though the word of the Almighty One has failed, for they are not all Yasharal who are of Yasharal. I say to you, my brothers and sisters, there were times, and there's pictures and there's documentation of the fringes, even the zitzits, the showy ones. Did not the scripture talk about the Pharisees and Sadducees who dressed nicely? I submit to you, we see that to this day. As a result of man's perception, thinking it's okay. Some people are going envious. Some people are sacrificing certain meals so they can get enough money to buy fancy clothes that they believe represent the Hebrew garbs or Hebrew garments. It's time, my brothers and sisters, to recognize what is asked, what is demanded of us as it relates to demonstrating set apartness according to the Spirit of Yahuwah. Yes, there were times when many Yehudim had wealth, dressed fashionably nice. But let us discern the difference between dressing nice and disregarding the commandment by putting Yahuwah's and Yahusha's name and the menorah images on our garments, wearing medallions with Yahuwah's name on them, thinking that this is okay. It is wicked and wrong. And soon and very soon, my brothers and sisters, as reproof swell across this planet, as reproof enlarges itself in the midst of the children of obedience, we will see that all the vanity that we think make one look spiritual is a wicked ploy, is a result of man's perception of what they think looking spiritual means. Looking spiritual is to love your brother. Looking spiritual is to guard your brother. Looking spiritual is to be obedient to the Almighty Father, to obey his laws, statutes, his commands, to walk in the fullness of his Spirit. Those actions, such actions, is what we are to do. And this is what demonstrates the set apartness of Yasharal over those who are caught up in the vanity and promote such distractions. Yasharal, set apart Yasharal. Are we not aware that there are misinterpretations of scriptures and false teachings regarding end time prophecies? Are we not aware that many mores among us are misled, misguided? Many of them are wicked. Some knowingly, some don't care. Some pushing their own centerpiece, their own selves as a centerpiece. Some scratching each other on the back, lifting one another up, disobeying the commandment. A specific commandment, my brothers and sisters. You see, my brothers, many people fail to realize Exodus 24 says, you do not make of yourself a carved image or any likeness of that which is in the heavens above, or which is in the earth beneath, or which is in the waters under the earth. Now, there are individuals that will tell you where it talks about Yahuwah's name being in our forehead. It is not referring to a tattoo of Yahuwah's name. It is not referring to jewelry with his name on it, on our forehead or on our hands. It is referring to the actions that we bring about one another, the actions of set apartness. But in man's perception, in man's desire to be seen, to show off, vanity have reared its ugly head. Strong perceptions that are presented as okay among us will soon prove to not be so. There will be those who are indeed our brothers and sisters who will face reproof and correction and will begin to move towards the simplicity that the Most High is calling for, to come away from the distractions that try to suck up and evaporate the oxygen out of the air. The words of truth, actions that have people talking more about garments or even language. You see, there's a pure lip, yes, that we will come to see in the end times. But many people are perpetrating and trying to lead others to think that they're learning Hebrew. Modern Hebrew is Aramaic. That is not the true pure lip that is spoken of in Zephaniah. Not at all, my brothers and sisters. Not at all. The true and original Hebrew scripts was in picture form, with man to lean on the Spirit of Yahuah to make alive what is to be communicated. But man wanted to dress it up and add their words to it. Man's perceptions has truly infiltrated what we have to study. But we cannot use that for an excuse. Let us seek to identify the Spirit of Yahuah, sending Yahusha's name as our teacher, to make known, to make true. For it will indeed come to be, O Yasharal. You may seek to escape, but if you are indeed a set-apart child of Yahuah, he has promised discipline. Proof will soon come. It will emerge and it will enlarge as the 144,000 and great multitude begin to awaken. Proof of what is true will come. But I say to you, my brothers and sisters, when proof comes, there will be those who will find that their acceptance of the truth might indeed be a little too late from a physical and natural perspective, because you may find yourself left behind or in the wrong place at the wrong time when death and destruction come. My brothers and sisters, from an individual perspective, from a camp, fellowship, group, etc., from a perspective that we see often infrequent, will come the judgment that is necessary. A judgment that will either confirm what is set apart or condemn the perception of men that have been stirring within our camps, groups, and fellowships. We will witness mere or attempted replications of what is expected among the gathering of an awakening nation. In other words, there are people, there are mores, there are leaders, there are teachers within our camps seeking to promote what they think is supposed to be happening in these end times. The synagogue of Satan is fabricating things so wildly that it has brought many to deceive, to be victims of deception and be deceived by their actions. Money cannot buy set apartness, my brothers and sisters. And though the media, though Hollywood, though individuals with wealth are pushing their perception stronger than we who are set apart, at least from the physical eye, that will soon change. Any moray, any teacher, anyone who say it's okay for us to agree to disagree, you're not going to find a perfect fellowship, etc. Beware, for these words, you're not going to find a perfect fellowship. Agree to disagree. It's okay to dress the way we're dressing. This promotes laziness. It contributes to distractions, my brothers and sisters. This fight, this battle against the pursuit of being filled with the Spirit of Yahuah versus overtaken by man's perception will prove to come to an end amongst the children of obedience. I say, woe to you mores and teachers who cause set apart Yasharal to be lazy and sluggards with such words as agree to disagree, with such words as saying it's okay to promote the vanities that we have seen among us. Reproof is coming, my brothers and sisters. Discipline will come, in the hand of the Almighty Father will make clear those who are listening to his voice. The Almighty Yahuah will provide us with all that is needed for us to discern his presence. We will become equipped to pierce through man's perception and identify as well as confirm what is true. The days of witnessing our feelings being hurt along with our egos becoming bruised will prove to be necessary during a season of extreme humbling times to bring us into correctness. Unity will come for an awakening nation. Set apart Yasharal, prepared to receive the words from the Almighty Father like never before. And anyone who say that there is nothing new under the sun, ask them what does that mean? For there are things clearly we can see that are new. But what makes the scripture true when it says nothing new under the sun is that the Most High Father has prepared his children. He has revealed to his children things that have not yet been seen. You see, my brothers and sisters, for out of belief comes the words, the echoes of things that are true, that are set apart. Out of belief comes things that we do not see right away at times. Are we not aware of Hebrews 11:1 that says in belief is the substance of what is expected, the proof of what is not seen? Never before has this planet had so many people on it. Never before have we reached this point in time, this period in time, in end times where we must prepare for the final, the last exodus before the physical return of Yahusha HaMashiach. The days are coming, my brothers and sisters, and as they emerge and we face the conflict among one another before judgment will begin at the house of the Almighty Father. As we begin to see things rise up with intensity, as people become more and more clear that end times are drawing closer, as people become more clear that a final exodus is taking shape, as people become more clear that Hebrews are indeed wakening up, Gentiles are indeed wakening up and joining Hebrews, grafted together as one by Yahusha HaMashiach, coming together as one under the banner of Yasharal. As we see the actions of the hand of the Most High, let us be mindful of 1 John 4:1 that says, beloved ones, do not believe every spirit, but prove the spirits, whether they are of the Almighty One, because many false prophets have gone out into the world. My brothers and sisters, I'm compelled to believe it would be wise to realize that every attack from within can be seen among our differences. From understanding and interpreting scriptures to all that is required along this journey, this set apart journey, we see it and we know that soon and very soon, in order for there to be unity, differences must be purged. Reproof and correction will have its place. We will repent when we are ordered to repent, when we are brought to the light and recognize it. We will purge out the wickedness from among us. We will come away from those that teach wrong and that aid in the distraction of what must be done. Watch and pray, my brothers and sisters, for as those who awaken, they will begin to realize that all that we've seen among Hebrews, among Yehudim, has its flaws. But there are those who are indeed obedient. There are those who can yield and realize that my ego got in the way. My vanity got in the way. My brothers and sisters, as people try to replicate and copy what they think will happen, the Most High will make clear all that is unfolding. While the synagogue of Satan uses all its instruments to craft narratives to try to discredit the presence of the Almighty Father, while disobedient children step out, constantly proving that they're wrong, contribute to false narratives that distract from the set-apart children, I am compelled to believe that the hand of Yahuah, the hand of the Almighty One, our Father, will begin to round up his children for the final exodus. The enemy is making every attempt to replicate and attempt to deceive the very elect. I'm compelled to believe as the most widespread replicas or copies of what we think we're supposed to be doing as Hebrews or as Yehudim. As we witness these in large, we will see the hand of Yahuah. In Yahusha's name, open our eyes and reveal what is indeed true. Unfortunately, my brothers and sisters, there will be those who will fall away, who will fall to the wayside. There will be many undiscerning, unbelieving, led astray by individuals who are charismatic and overly confident, but confidently wrong. The emerging one world government is fabricating all that they can do to discredit the presence of the Most High. It is for this reason that the hand of Yahuah will come strong. It will come hard, and it will come in such a phenomenal and extraordinary way that just as Pharaoh led his servants wrongly and acknowledged that there was indeed an Almighty One in Yahuah, so will the world yield to the power and might of Yahuah. End times are here, and we will see that all that has been prophesied regarding the great tribulation will come to be. There will be great destruction, many deaths. There will be famine and pestilence. There will be things at the hand of the Almighty Father of which no man will be able to deny. Be encouraged, O Yasharal, for there are those who will not be led astray. For I am mindful of Matthew 24:24, which says, for false messiahs and false prophets shall arise, and they shall show great signs and wonders, so as to lead astray, if possible, even the chosen ones. You see, the plan of the Most High will prove to be successful. It will be wise to discern what is necessary in the coming days. Choose wisely, O Yasharal. Will you continue with the status quo? Will you continue to fall into the groups and masses of those who promote vanity and vexation of the spirit through falsely promoting the need to chase modern Hebrew language? There's nothing wrong with discerning. There's nothing wrong with coming into the knowledge of the various stages of how our history unfolded. There's nothing wrong with that. But don't be deceived and tell people I know Hebrew and I'm talking Hebrew. Don't be deceived by people telling you, well, you got to look at the Hebrew, but then they bring you right back to the native language, whether it be English or Spanish, to try to interpret the Hebrew. Is that not like a dog returning to his vomit? Is that not a dog chasing his tail? Are we not aware, my brothers and sisters, that the Spirit of Yahusha make known, bring to our attention the things that are necessary? Are we not aware of that? Who is aware of 2 Peter chapter 2, verse 22? It says, for them the proverb hath proved true, a dog returned to his own vomit, and a washed sow or pig returns to her own rolling in the mud. You see, my brothers and sisters, we're not dogs, and we're not pigs, and we're not swines. Let us realize that just chasing our tail, returning to our vomit, running around, if any of us did anything such as that, if we are indeed children of the Most High, children of obedience, we will discover being freed from such strongholds. The time is now, my brothers and sisters, to look at what is indeed required of us today. The time is now to identify the tasks that the Most High has for us today. The time is now to come away from man's perception. My brothers and sisters, let us be mindful of Romans 12:3. For it reads as follows: For I say through the favor which has been given to me to everyone who is among you, not to think of himself more highly than he should think, but to think soberly, as the Almighty One has given to each a measure of belief. Know this, my brothers and sisters, each moment requires us to pursue the will of the Almighty Father Yahuwah, and through his set-apart spirit, sent in Yahusha's name, we will find ourselves among those who are obedient, and we will find those who are being reproved and corrected, who fail to discern what is necessary to obey the Almighty Father. You see, there's so much work to be done, my brothers and sisters. It's time to come away from the distractions, the things that suck up the time, that help us to redeem the time, but not in a favorable way. It's time to come away from the things that do not promote set apartness. It's time to come away from the things that consume the energy that we have been given. You see, we find favor by the words of the Almighty Father. We live by every word that proceeds out of his mouth, as written in Deuteronomy 8:3. Do you think the Most High has given us breath, allowing us to live, just so we can look at each other and see how good we look? Just how we can see who has the brightest, the most colorful of tassels or zitzits, who have the best looking garments, who have the best looking jewelry, medallions. Did Hebrews wear garments and jewelry in days of old? Indeed, they did. But I say to you, my brothers and sisters, they were not in the era that we are in. They were not in the time of approaching the final exodus, approaching the final return of Yahusha HaMashiach. They were not in this era, my brothers and sisters. Should we be looking back at what they did and then latch on to a perception that they did it, so we can do it? Our captivity is a result of our forefathers being disobedient. Our captivity is a result out of that rebellious nature. We were scattered. My brothers and sisters, this is the era. This is the time. And I'm saying era as an ERA. This is the time when we must begin to look and take serious what the Spirit of our Father is saying. We must come away from anything that violates any of the commandments, the laws and statutes of the Most High. We must understand the power of forgiveness, the power of atonement, the power of the sacrifice, the power of the shed blood of the Lamb. We must come to understand the presence of his set-apart spirit, Yahuwah's set-apart spirit, sent in Yahusha's name. It's time to break away, my brothers and sisters. Come away from wicked and false teachings. We will witness the difference between coming away from wicked, compromising camps, fellowships, groups, etc., versus seeing what is meant to witness the great falling away. There is a difference. 2 Thessalonians, 2nd chapter, speaks about a great falling away. So do not let someone wicked say, that's a great falling away. Yeah, falling away. For you see, there will be wicked ones. There will be man's perception of, they're falling away. That will replicate and talk about the obedient of the children of Yahuwah. See, the children of Yahuwah who are ordered to prepare to return to the promised land will indeed fall away from wicked camps, come away from wicked camps. But then there will be the set apart camps of the Almighty Father, where children that are brought into his discipline will fall away because of unbelief. You see, this whole spiritual battle, my brothers and sisters, is filled with copies, replicas, things that look like they're supposed to be true, but they are in part. If we recognize when Hashatan attempted to beguile Yahusha HaMashiach, he threw verses in part at him. He spoke in part. And this is what wicked teachers are doing. They're speaking in part. But Yahusha HaMashiach showed us that he mastered the whole of a matter, all that was written correctly and truthfully. Yahusha HaMashiach proved to us that the time came where he himself just rebuked Hashatan straight out. Yes, my brothers and sisters, there was times when the Most High Word manifest in the flesh demonstrated how to deal with man's fabrication. And I say to you, my brothers and sisters, we will know what is right versus what was wrong and what is wrong. We will know what steps we must take. Deliverance comes to those who are drawn by the Almighty Father. Yasharal, know this. We who are the dwelling place of the Almighty One will get our houses cleaned up, whether it be made straight and refined while in this physical temple, or whether it leads to our physical death, where we will sleep and await judgment day. There's a lot to expect. There's a lot to be done. The time is now. Begin discussing these matters, my brothers and sisters. Unity will come. Discipline, vengeance, and wrath, as I mention often, will enlarge in the coming days. What is necessary to bring about the remnant that I am compelled to believe will be a large number, but when compared to the world's population will indeed be a fraction of a percent. We will come to witness these things are unfolding. We will come to accept that the call of the Most High is reaching to the one in the mirror, is fashioning, disciplining, refining us, shaping us for what we must do in the coming days. Be encouraged. Our redemption draws near, my brothers and sisters. I will close by saying this. Soon and very soon, there will be those among us who will shout, hallelujah. We will recognize the things that we are going through for a reason. And there will be those that will weep and cry. But the Most High will honor all that he has promised. Until next time, my name is Symmanayah. I bid you, O Yasharal, set apart Yasharal, drawn of the Almighty Father, consisting of both Hebrews and Gentiles, Abrim and Goyim, that are made one by Yahusha HaMashiach, who seek to do the will of the Almighty Father. I bid you, O Yasharal, Shalum.